District 13 state senator and a candidate coming up in the primary, May the 19th. Mr. Gerald Dial, how are you, sir?
Well, I was a good senator once, and I can be a good senator again. I'm excited about being here. We're sitting here today in the Valley Senior Center, where the seniors are having lunch, and I came here as one of my first places to come because this is one of the things that I'm most proud of, helping Ray Edwards and Dwayne Bridges get the funding to move this from the little house they had downtown, down on Highway 50 to this terrific facility. This project I get to go to, and I go to every one of them because senior centers are important to me. Seniors are well taken care of, and the seniors are a tremendous asset to this area. And of course, we've got one over in Lynette as well, and one up Lafayette. So we'll travel to all of those. But I wanted to come here first and talk to the people, and fortunately, a lot of them remember me, so that's an advantage to my part. Dwayne Bridges, because the three of us together combined to put this facility together, and we're just very proud of it.
The three of you, such a huge impact on Chambers County. We had that historic unemployment of the 23%, and it was leadership along with our great friend Valerie Gray.
Dwayne and I and Richard Laird, who had a part of this, we passed legislation and set up the ID board, the Industrial Development Board, and provided some stream of revenue so they could finance that. So we'd have somebody here on the ground every day seeking industry and business and trying to promote the area. And as you travel from here on into Opelika, you see all those, you see Ajon and you see Wejon and the other plants that are there that provided jobs that helped take up that loss when we had the 22% from the closing of the textile mill. So those people worked there. And a quick side story, Gator, when it was obvious that we were not going to get the Kia plant, it wasn't coming to Alabama because we had Hyundai, Governor Riley, who was governor then and knew I represented this area, he said, work with Governor Perdue and let's get that thing in LaGrange. He said, the fact that it's in LaGrange means that we'll get a lot of the jobs out of the Valley and Chambers area and the Opelika area that will work there. And so there's a lot of our people who got the opportunity. And I called Governor Sonny Perdue. I said, Governor, we look at this as a blue light special. You had to put in the money, but we're going to get a lot of the jobs. And we do. We get a lot of jobs. A lot of people here work at the Kia plant. But the Kia plant and the Hyundai plant in Montgomery, this corridor through here became the place for suppliers to build because they could go either way and support either one of those manufacturing units. That's why you have, when you ride from here on into Opelika, you see all of those suppliers that supply parts for the Kia and Honda plant that provide good quality jobs. So thanks to Valerie and the ID board and the effort we put forth, we saw that unemployment rate drop tremendously. Now don't get me wrong, there's still things to do and there's still areas we need to put our attention to, and we're ready and committed to do that. We still need some other industry. We need some high-tech industry that plays some higher jobs, and we need to make sure that our health care is available to the people in this area so that when they have a job, they have a place if they have sick and their family can go to. And so that's the important issue we're addressing.
If you had to list of what people are engaging and talking to you about, is economy the most important topic right now?
The economy, but right on the economy is healthcare cost. That's really affecting everybody. And the economy prices, they're concerned that the prices continue to escalate, even though I know Trump's done a great job in trying to slow some of that down. He got the egg prices down, whether he did or the chickens, but somebody got the egg prices down. But people are still concerned with the amount of take-home money they get compared to how much money they have to spend for the necessities. And of course, if the cost of health care continues to go up, that takes money away from your actual spending for food and for supporting your family. So that's a major issue. The other major issue, Trump passed the great big beautiful bill. Mm-hmm. That was probably the most significant legislation I've seen in my lifetime and yours. It's a tremendous tax cut on the federal level to each and every one of them. No more tax on Social Security, no more tax on overtime, no more tax on tips and wages. It cut the rate on which but unless we're careful, that money won't get in mine and your pocket. It'll get in the state's pocket. State's
Right.
got $6 billion in the bank, and that's good. I'm not advocating we spend that, but I'm advocating we cap that. We make sure that that tax break that comes from Trump's big, beautiful bill comes in your bank account, in my bank account, and not in the state's bank account. And that's a major issue that I'll address the first day I'm there.
How close do you think we could feasibly be to seeing that come to fruition with that money going back into our pockets?
Well, it depends on how much your income tax is, but let me give you an example. Say you were paying taxes on $100,000, and that's
Okay.
and your federal income tax this year was $20,000. I'm just using numbers. So when you get to do your state tax, you take that $100,000, you subtract that $20,000 from 100. Now on the state level, you only pay tax on $80,000.
Okay.
All right, under Trump's bill, if that 20,000 drops to 10, you're going to pay 10,000 less in federal taxes, and I'm just rounding up numbers. But now you're going to pay tax in Alabama on 90,000 rather than 80,000. You hadn't done anything, you hadn't changed anything. You're paying less federal tax, so you're going to pay more state tax. That's not right.
So it's more of a break even.
Yeah, it's not a break even.
It's even worse.
It's even worse. You're going to get that tax break that you should have got from the federal government is going to go to the state government, and you're not going to get it in your bank account. And I want to address that issue.
All right. You told me something years ago, and I will never forget it. When we were going through the mills closing, and you had told me, you said, "Listen, when the mills all close fully, we can begin to really start seeing the rebound." How close do you think a Chambers County area and you get in other areas, well, really specifically Chambers County, how close are we to seeing the comeback?
Well, I think we're on the upward scale of the comeback. I think we've been that way for about the last 20 years. We really got on that scale when Kia announced their plant.
Okay.
And what we were doing at Hyundai. I went to Korea with Governor Riley. We was courting and trying to get Hyundai to come to Montgomery. And they came, and they began to build these outlier plants that makes the part, the bumpers, the doors, the interior, all the parts that come together, because at the plant, all they do is assemble. They don't make anything, so all these has to come together. So sometimes we lose sight of when you get a big plant and they're going to employ 3,000 jobs, that's great. But over here on the side with these suppliers, it's probably going to create 3,000 or 4,000 jobs. And that's what we've seen. They don't like to put those too close to each other because they'll be competing for employees. And employees to work in those plants, if you get it too close together, what you do, you run out of employees to do that job. And so those plants have continued to grow in here. Where we need to begin to focus now, and those plants are good and they provide some good jobs and good benefit. But we need to look at some high-tech things. We need to look at some industry that requires a little higher skill, that pays a little higher wage. We can train the workers. We got Southern Union here, right here in the campus, Southern Union in Opelika that does a great job in training the workers. We just need to attract some of those higher scale industries, and we've got plenty of people who can apply for those jobs and do that. And that needs to be step 2 after we've got the automobile industry going.
I think you're right. And I think education is going to be a huge part of this.
Well, it is, and of course, we do a great job on the 2-year level. I'm on the Southern Union Foundation board, been on it. I helped create that. We raise money for scholarships. We've just finished a year-end program where we raised $1 million, and that money goes in, and the foundation board don't do it. We have a committee, but they select kids who apply for scholarship, and we give somewhere between almost 100 scholarships a year to kids wanting to go to either Southern Union Wadley or Southern Union down here or Southern Union in Opelika. And the technical schools are doing a great job. That education, the other education part of that is your technical school here in Chambers County does a good job. But, and your K-12 and your pre-kindergarten programs are a very vital part of that. We're seeing some improvement in that. Before I left the legislature, we reinstalled the Reading Initiative program that Bob Riley started in his tenure, and we'd gotten away from that. We said, hey, we're finding kids can't read. We got to get them back into the reading program. And so we're doing that, and we're seeing some improvement, and we're seeing an improvement in Chambers County. And, Chambers County, You know, you got two high schools, and then you got a city school, and all of those have to work together. But and I've seen a loss in population, especially in Lynette, has gone to 2A in football, and they used to be a little bit bigger. But Valley seems to be doing well. I helped Mr. Riley when we renovated and redid the Valley High School. He came to me and wanted some funding, and we were able to capture some funding to allow him to totally renovate that school while he was in superintendent. So K-12 continues to be an issue, and it continues to be something we've got to continue to do. One thing that attracts a lot of people to Auburn, shop.
Right.
So we want to keep those places open and keep those people thriving and keep small businesses going.
Well, we're thankful for that. We're very thankful for that, and I'll follow up on that. You know, I've never met somebody that needed to get fundraising or donation for their school or little league team that got it online.
No, you're
Never met
absolutely
him.
right. No,
But every day,
it's always
but
that.
every day,
It's that-
every day, I have tremendous friends that are small business owners, and they support nonstop.
They
So,
buy a program in the football ad. They
thank you.
They
That
buy
matters.
the ticket.
And believe you me,
absolutely,
that does matter, yes.
Absolutely. But if we had not put that tax on, that guy couldn't have continued to compete, and he would have been out of business, and the school would have lost that money from that ad, or they
Thank
would have
you.
lost that support for that, or Valley Haven would have lost that support that they're going to get on their May 2nd day when they have the hike bike run. A world of people step forward on May the 2nd, and we've always supported hike bike, and they step forward and support that organization greatly. A lot of those businesses would be closed. A lot of them would be closed if it wasn't that. So you just think of the small mom and pop stores that would not be here
Absolutely.
if we hadn't levelized that tax. The big Amazons would have put them out of business. So I'm proud of that tax, if you want to call it a tax increase. But the other thing I'm worried about that is that's about 25% of Chambers County's budget. And the big cities and the big counties are trying to gang up on us and say they want more of that and let's go to the rural cities. We got to have somebody that understands that that's an important part of the local economy. It's a very large part of the local budget for counties and city government. I imagine the city of Valley gets a good bit of that money because that money is divided. 50% of it goes to counties and cities based on a formula. And I know in Randolph County, the commissioner told me it was about 25% of their local budget every year. So if you lost 25% of your county budget, you're going to have to lay off policemen. Sheriff's office. You're going to have to lay off deputies. You're going to have to cut back on services. We can't stand that. So we got to have somebody that understands how important the sales and use, simplified sales and use tax is to counties and cities, and I understand that very well.
Well, we've always appreciated the fact that you've been so loyal to rural Alabama, which is who we are. We've always been thankful for that, and you know, we go back a long ways, and you've always been such a great representative from Montgomery that benefits us here in East Alabama, and I know the voters can do their research. They can look at your voting record, but I'm very happy to hear that you're running.
Thank you very much.
I'll tell one last story. When I started doing news and I was up in Montgomery, I didn't know anybody. I knew nobody, and I was like, "What am I doing here?" And then I ran into my old friend Gerald Dial right there, and he just kind of waved me on in there, and I said, "Hot diggity dog, I know somebody in Montgomery." But I've always been thankful for that, and I was talking to my friend Valerie Gray on the way over here. And we're very thankful for you, and we want to wish you the best of luck. And anything you need out of us here, we are more than willing. And you guys get out there and take a look at Gerald Dial. He's been your senator before. He wants to be your senator again.
I was good once, and I'll be good again.
Absolutely. Thank
you.
you, sir. I do appreciate it, and we'll be following back up with